Okay, so in the last video, I said that there would be another video on here to explain the project. So on the project, you're going to be looking at a picture with a whole bunch of lines, and they're numbered. If you are able to, I would print that off so that you have it sitting next to you. If you don't have that capability, that is fine because it has a link to the picture in every single question. You'll get up to 2 attempts on this assignment. However, the first attempt may have different questions than the second attempt. So it's very, very, very important that you keep like detailed notes and work on this, okay? So, like for instance, I would write down line number 1. So number 1, the points on my line number 1, so this is just an example. You can either watch this or do it with me, up to you. I would take some notes on it because you're going to need to remember how to do this for the project. The line is at 1, 2 for the first point. The second point is at 2, 7. Okay, so to find slope, you can just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 1, so it's a slope of 5. I could also do 7 minus 2 over 2 minus 1, which equals a slope of 5. 5 over 1, which is 5. A parallel line would have the same slope, so it would be 5. A perpendicular line would have opposite reciprocals, so it would be negative 1/5. Now, I'm going through all the different types of questions that it may ask you. Okay, so that is what I'm doing. Now they may want you to write the equation for this line. Well, I have a point and I have a slope, so I'm going to put it into point slope form first. So y minus 2 equals my slope of 5, parentheses x minus 1. And then I'm going to take that point slope form and change it to slope intercept form. I'm pretty sure that they just want slope intercept form the whole time, but I could be incorrect. So here's point slope form, right? And then you should know how to move it over to standard form by getting your x's and y's to the left, numbers on the right. So I distribute. I'm going to add 2 to both sides, so I get y equals 5x minus 3. So that is the equation of the line in slope intercept form. Okay, then they want the range and the domain. Okay, well, so domain are all your x values. So you're going to go back up here and you're going to look at your points for your x. So this line starts at 1 and it ends at 2 for x. So there's 2 ways to write this. So the first way would be it starts at 1 and that is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 2. The second way is to write it just in parentheses, where it looks like a point, but it's really not a point. It starts at 1 and ends at 2. Okay? This way is called standard form. FORM. This way is called interval notation. So make sure you know which one they're asking for. Okay? Then it may ask for the midpoint. I should have been doing each of these in a different color. Okay, so midpoint. Remember, midpoint formula is you take your x values, add them, divide by 2, and do the same thing with your y values. Take your y values, add them, divide by 2, and then that gives you your midpoint. So in this would be 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. 2 plus 7 is 9, 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. I'm going to pause and see if they want it in decimal form or fraction form. I believe it says reduced fractional form, so you actually wouldn't put the decimal in. You would do 3 over 2, and you would do 9 over 2 instead. So that would be the correct solution. In interval notation, this would be a bracket, and this would be a bracket. It would not be parentheses. So make sure that you put it in as a bracket, 1, 2 bracket. Now, in Schoology, it will look like this. Blank, comma, blank. The first blank, you would put in the bracket with the 1. And then the second blank, you would put in a 2 and the bracket. The bracket button is found on your keyboard. It is next to the P on the keyboard. The other thing that it may ask for would be length. So length is distance formula. So big square root y2 minus y1 squared plus x2 minus x1 squared, and then the square root of all that. So y2 is 7 minus 2, that whole thing squared, plus 2 minus 1 squared. So 7 minus 2 is 5, 5 squared is 25, plus 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 squared is 1. So really this is the square root of 26. And then the decimal answer on that is 5.099. It is this 5.099, and I believe on every question it tells you what to round to, but I think it's to the 10th. So that would actually equal 5.1. If you put in 5.0 on that, it will count it wrong. So you got to be careful. The other thing is we talked about domain, but then there's also range. Range is my y values. So it starts at 2 for y. So I'm going back up here and I'm looking at my y values. So here's my range. Okay. Let's see if I can get all that in one thing. So it starts at 2 for range. So that is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal, it goes to 7. So that is standard form. Standard form. Interval notation, it starts and includes 2, and it goes to 7, and that's interval notation. Again, you need to do bracket 2, and then 7 bracket for the ending point. So every question that you're going to have, you're not going to do all these parts, but you're going to do half of these. You're going to be finding slope, and they're the parallel or perpendicular. You're going to find the equation for the line. You're going to either do domain or range, and either standard notation or interval. Then you'll either do midpoint or length. But it's very important that you keep very detailed notes on this assignment, okay? So I wouldn't go through and do each of these things on every question. I would do what they ask you to do, but do like question 1 may take half of a page or a fourth of a page, and keep it all detailed and very neat so that you can go back to it if you're going to take that second attempt.